Hello, this is going to be a deep dive on somatic work for healing anxious attachment. So unless this is the first video of mine you're listening to, this probably isn't the first time you've heard me say somatic work, but we're going to get into the deep, beautiful details of it today. In this video, I'm going to teach you why somatic work is the key to healing anxious attachment. So if you've listened to a couple of my other videos, you've heard me talk about it before, but in this video, we're going to go deep into the beautiful, transformative details of somatic work. So soma is of the body, and the reason why this is so important is because your nervous system lives in this beautiful physical vessel of yours. And lots of our subconscious and unconscious memories are also in the body. The physical sensations we feel in the body, the emotions we feel are in the body. So it's key that we are healing on a physical body soma level. Lots of the first work that we do in terms of any personal development is mental. It's reading a book about it, listening to a podcast about it, it's happening in your mind. And then there tends to be this frustrating period where you now know what's going on, you see your patterns and how it plays out, but now it's like you're watching yourself do it. You're watching your mind continue to overthink or continue to spiral. You're watching yourself continue to feel incredibly insecure, and it feels like nothing's shifting. And that's because that mental level awareness has not titrated down into the nervous system in the body. And the thing about the mind, or like the body and its memory and its intelligence, is that only a little bit of it is happening in the conscious level, and the rest is happening subconsciously or unconsciously. And so while you're on this healing journey, I want to know that your thoughts and your boundaries and your communication are starting to sound like, I'm noticing that unconsciously I'm doing this thing. I noticed subconsciously this is happening. Consciously I chose this. Subconsciously it was this. If you can make those connections, you know that you are making really excellent progress on your healing journey. So why are we going to do somatic work, and how does it actually make a difference? So the anxious attachment system is a nervous system issue. It's the result of needs being met inconsistently. Emotional needs, attunement needs, love, all of these things were inconsistent. And because of that, your nervous system started to become dysregulated, which likely meant you became hypervigilant and were overactive in a stress response, right? So that's what's happening now. Being in relationship dynamics with people romantically or otherwise, it triggers this survival response and this dysregulation, and it continues to happen. And it can obviously be quite intense and quite chronic. And so in those micro moments where the initial nervous system wound or damage happened, or misattunement, we can call it, is probably a more gentle word, where the misattunement happened, there was a rupture or repression. That repression may have come through something like you're a child reaching for love, and in that reach, in that vulnerable openness, you weren't given what you wanted, or you were shunned, or you were shut down. So that was a shocking and intense and painful experience for your body. Maybe you wanted to cry, maybe you wanted to get angry, but you felt like you couldn't because the shame was too much, the embarrassment was too much. Whatever was happening for you in your system was too much to let the energy move through you in the way that it wanted to. And so there was a repression instead, like an intelligent step in the body to do this, to just repress because the intensity is too much, the pain is too much. So the energy in that is closed off and gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, it continues to play out a loop, which feels like a belief or feels like a thought that runs on a loop in our body. And so with somatic work, we're able to bring awareness to our body where that repression may have happened, and we start to invite expression. So as you can imagine, that can be an emotional journey, but if you've ever done any sort of inner child work or breath work that I'm sure tears aren't anything super new to you. And what we want to do is release the energy and understand why the loop is playing out. Energy release can also come through anger release, breath, movement, sound, and of course, tears and sadness. And when we invite that expression to finally happen, then the nervous system can regulate and it will calm our system. As I said, you can probably imagine that this is deep work. This is going to feel counterintuitive sometimes because it's like, I don't want to go back into any pain that I experienced. I just want to feel good. I want to feel free. I want to feel safe. But what we need to do is kind of go in and untie the little knots where we closed up, where we started to hold, where we created false stories, because what happened in those moments of repression and not feeling safe and the misattunements and then the pain that came with that, we started to shapeshift who we were. We started to chameleon or conform, thinking that, oh, if I do what I naturally want to do, which was reach and open and ask, and I got it wrong, that must mean something about me. It must mean I'm not lovable. So I'm not going to do that again because that was painful. And instead, I'm going to do what I think I need to do, which is be really agreeable or be really quiet because that's what my parents like and approve of. Or I'll say yes to things and be really responsible. And I'm just going to make it easy for the other person to love me because that's the way that I get love now. That's what I've learned. And can you see how that distortion has probably been carried with you for so long? It happened so long ago, and there was a moment before that distortion where you didn't think that, where you didn't think that you had to be a certain way. There was maybe years before that where you felt open and free and creative and happy and safe to be happy, silly, playful, expressive, hyper, all of these things. And then the people around you or society or whoever it is that were also acting out of their own wounds started to teach you and show you who you should be in order to get love. And now this curious little girl is going, okay, I guess I'll do this instead because my mother's love is really important to me, or my father's love is really important to me, or my brother's approval is really important to me, and I want him to like me, so I'll do this and I'll do this, and the body starts to tense and contort and hold and twist and knot up and become rigid, but the need is still being met. So now we're getting this evidence of, if I'm happy, they'll give me attention. If I'm calm, they'll sit with me. So even though I need to kind of hold my body in this repressed and rigid way, which might manifest as an adult as tension headaches or chronic pain or digestion issues or hip pain, bad periods, then I'll do it because I'm getting my need met in this twisted way, but I'm getting it met and that's what I want. And it feels unsafe to relax back into who I actually am and try again to see if I can get it met that way. It feels too unsafe. And remember, we're talking about a lens of perspective from your younger self that had way less context, but that unfortunately we kind of carry with us. But now, if you're here watching this video, I'm pretty sure you've reached a point where you realize that's not working. It feels bad. I'm ending up in relationships that aren't working. I can see where I don't have boundaries. I can see that my needs aren't being met, but I feel so freaking scared to say anything else. And I feel like if I don't do this, I'm not going to get love. And I see all the ways that I bring myself into relationships that aren't fully authentic, and I don't want to bring him down, and I don't want to cry in front of him, and all of these things, but it's not working. It's not working anymore. So the somatic work allows us to soften those parts of us and allow the energy that needed to move, and allow the more authentic, freely loving, open and expressed parts of yourself to come forward again. So when we're doing a somatic practice, it's guiding you to emotional charges sometimes, and we don't have to know what it is. It might be anger, it might be frustration, we might want to scream and actually scream, and it doesn't have to be linked to any memory. We just have to let it move. So it's important to be able to connect to the sensations of your body, and that's where somatic work starts. body scans, feeling and being able to name different sensations in the body like tension or tightness or buzzing or temperature. Some of us really aren't able to feel our body in any way because we've brought all of our energy up into our head or even kind of out of our body, and the body can feel actually quite numb. And that's just because there's maybe a freeze state going on or some dissociation going on, so we don't feel it until we start to gently wake up the body. And so the more you start to get in tune with your body, the more you will start to know what these things are. Oh, that feels like frustration. Oh, I feel annoyed. Oh, there's sadness here. There's heaviness here. There's overwhelm here. Ooh, that's fear. There's grief. And then we welcome it to be here. And that's how it starts to move. There might be shaking in your body, maybe uncomfortability, maybe a feeling of, I want to run away from this. And so what's really important in somatic work is to trust your body's wisdom. Basically, no matter how weird it gets. It may be unnatural for you to even sigh, like this deep audible sigh. In so many families and households that wasn't allowed, it was seen as negative or passive aggressive, like, okay, what's wrong? What's your problem? And actually, it's just one of your body's very natural, easy ways to move a little bit of energy. So as you start to do somatic practices and be with your body, you might start to notice, oh, it feels like I want to just like shake my hands or stomp my feet or squeeze my fist. And the invitation is to do that, knowing that you are in a safe space and probably alone. Can you give yourself enough presence to let your body move in the way that it wants to? And maybe you've seen Instagram videos or something of people doing somatic dance or somatic movement, and they're kind of like throwing themselves all over the floor or being like, super big or super weird. And that is not what this has to be. Most of the somatic sessions that I do with clients are quite still. It's a lot of breathing and just feeling and noticing, and maybe some tears or maybe, like a little bit of anger release, but it doesn't have to be this big, crazy, like ecstatic looking thing. Maybe you get there, maybe that feels very good for you, but it doesn't have to be like that. If you were to work with me or come in the membership, for example, I'm not going to make you jump all around if that's not where your body is. It's very subtle, and it can be very subtle and still be incredibly impactful. And this brings me to another reason why somatic work is really effective for anxious attachment. And it's because the anxious attachment system comes with a set of pretty clear responses that we can work through. We're not really guessing. Most of us who are working with anxious attachment have specific things to work on, which are going to fall under boundaries, self-trust, connecting to our intuition, reclaiming our body, maybe reclaiming our sexuality or sensuality, connecting to our sense of worthiness, to our needs, to expanding self-compassion, expanding self-love, cultivating more safety in the body. And that is pretty much a checklist that is going to need to be checked with every single person. And because somatic exercises and somatic meditations can be tailored to anchoring these realities in the body and accessing these places in the body, like self-trust or strengthening self-compassion, for example, we can use the practices really systematically to work on these things and to bring these experiences, these repairing and healing experiences into your system so that your body can feel what it feels like to be in the opposite experience of what you're experiencing, to be in safety. And obviously the reason that we want to do this is to carry us along our healing journey, but also this is what rewiring the nervous system is. And when we do this, we also start to understand the uncomfortable things that happen in the way that we react or behave, or the situations we attract, or the triggers we have, once we commit to the path of not just learning, but knowing ourselves on a body and deep level. Then you will start to understand, wow, I can really see why I was acting that way, because I am feeling and knowing and meeting these parts of myself who thought that's what I needed to do. The healing journey obviously requires having compassion for these experiences that haven't been processed and decisions we made in the past and ways that we showed up, and a willingness that you're going to go in and do this work and sit with yourself just to the best of your ability, just where you are right now, being with what's here. And when we do that, it gives us the ability to start to know and learn when to use these tools for our own self-regulation. So if you go in and do 12 or 15 or 20 guided somatic practices that are specific to anxious attachment, you're going to get to know yourself so well that in your day-to-day experience, you're going to start to notice, oh, something's coming up here. I need to make 20 minutes for that, or something small is happening here. I need to stop and connect to my body and offer some breath in order to regulate myself in this moment. And finally, being able to effectively use somatic work requires a deep choosing of yourself. And that's often not what anxious attachers do. We put everyone else before us. But as I said, if you're on this journey, I think you have a willingness to choose yourself, because it's easy to sit here and watch this video. It takes an extra level of willingness and commitment to set aside a space, to put your headphones in and put one of these practices on and follow the guidance of what you're being guided with into your own experience, and offering your body presence and offering these places of dysregulation safety in order to expand and ultimately feel way more confident, way more secure, way more at ease in your body. All you have to do is listen to the practice and stay with your body as best as you can. And you can do it. I know that you can do it. You just have to have the thing in front of you, have the guided somatic practice in front of you, or be with a practitioner and have them guide you in this somatic work. So you're going to find 30 plus of these guided somatic practices in my Becoming Secure membership, which is linked in the show notes, and also a whole path with some other teachings and tools as well. And you just get to go experience yourself. And if you're someone who is into things that are like teaching you about you, like astrology or gene keys or human design, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh wow, I see that little knot, I see that pattern, I see that thing in me, and I can feel where it is, and I know what it wants, and I know what it needs, and I know what the kind of like the emotional, or not the emotional, the energetic medicine is for this, and I can transmute it and alchemize it. And sometimes these things can completely dissolve, like things that used to be triggering or feel unsafe completely dissolve because we actually healed it on a body and nervous system and neural pathway level. That thing from the past is no longer just looping inside your body because you sat with it and you healed it. And then on the other side of this, you are a person who is so much more open, confident in your decisions, asking for what you want, feeling okay with who you are and confident with who you are, feeling confident with what you bring to the table in relationship just as you are, and also feeling safe to have your needs met by your partner, by the world, by yourself. The other side of it is so much light and secureness and freedom, and I'm obviously speaking from experience, and also attracting better relationships where whatever experience you get within yourself of like, oh, I feel so much more reassured in who I am. I feel so happy to be with myself again. I feel like I can be with myself again. That will be amplified back to you through your relationship. And that becomes so magic. And that's what it is to be in a secure relationship where you feel so held and so seen. So that's what's on the other side of it. As always, the invitation is to subscribe to this channel so that I show up on your algorithm and your homepage when there's a new video. And if you're ready to go a level deeper and try this whole somatic work thing out, then the invitation is to join me in my women's group, Becoming Secure. The link is in the description. Ciao for now.